So now we come to the chapter 17, the perfection of wisdom awareness, or the Prajnaparamita, the paramita of wisdom, or Prajnaparamita, and like all other chapters, this is also explained here in these 7 points. Reflection on the faults and virtues, definition, classification, and characteristics or explanation of each classification, and what is to be known, what is to be practiced, and result. So now the reflection on the faults and virtues. It says that a bodhisattva, if that bodhisattva is practicing the generosity and all other paramitas up to meditation, but that bodhisattva does not have wisdom or do not understand wisdom, and then it says that bodhisattva will never attain perfect Buddhahood. It is said here because it's like a blind person or a group of blind person cannot get to the right destination unless there is somebody with eyes who can guide them to the desired place. Therefore, there is a quotation from Papa Duba, a very important sutra on Prajnaparamita. Dodupa, we call it, kind of concise sutra. This sutra is regarded as the king of sutras. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know. We talk about 3 kings. King of the sutra, king of the tantra, or you can call it queen if you like. Maybe for politically correct way, maybe we should. So, queen of the sutra, queen of the tantra, and the queen of the Ngowa, these Melam prayers or aspiration prayers. This we call Jalposum. And Papa Duba it's very short actually, it's around 50 pages, less than 50 folios, less. But it is kind of, it has all the things there in short form that is in the whole of Prajnaparamita Sutra. That's why, and the king of the Tantra is Manjushri Nama Sangita. The names, the songs on the name of Manjushri. songs of the names of Manjushri. And then the king of the dedicating prayers or aspiration prayers is the Kunduzang Malam. You know, the Kunduzang Malam means like Zambashwepi Malam. Bhattacharya, Arya Bhattacharya, Pranadhana, what we call as the Zangshu. Sometimes it is also called the good conduct, prayer of good conduct. So when Chandra Gomin, a great master of Yogacharya Madhyamika school, came to see Chandra Kirti, the main propagator of what we call as the Taljur, what is it? What is Taljur? Yeah, Prasangika Madhyamika. And then he came and he was standing at the end of the class that Chandrakirti was teaching. He was teaching in the open air under a tree. You know, in India, most of the classes used to be taught in the open air under trees. And in some universities, even now they do it. You know, in University of Shantiniketan, which is started by great Indian poet Rabindranath Tagore, who also won the Nobel Prize for poetry, I think. And he started this university in Bengal. And who was the first director of the university? Mahatma Gandhi. And even now, they teach outside under the tree, except the science classes, which they have to go to the lab. Anyway, so Chandra Gomin was standing at the end of the class, not sitting, standing, with his walking stick like this, and then listening to the teaching. And sometimes he was a little bit laughing, as if he was disagreeing. And then when the class was finished, Chandra Kirti asked, who are you? What's your name? He said, well, my name is a little bit similar to yours. And then he says, what have you studied? He says, I've studied Dodupa, this concise sutra, and Manjushri Nama Sangita. Then he knew that he knew a lot. It means that he knew everything about Buddhism. So then he said, are you not Chandra Gomin? He said, some people call me by that name also. Then he said, in that case, you are a great master. You just can't come like this to our university. You have to go back. We have to give you a proper reception. So he sent him back. So he walked back, but then they prepared a big celebration, and the chariots and all kind of things, and procession and flowers, and then they went to receive him from the end of the university. And they asked him to sit on this nice chariot. But he refused to sit on the chariot. But he said that, I'm not even a monk. How can I sit on the chariot? Why all your monks, walk? I refuse to sit on the chariot. And they had a debate on this. He says, no, you are our guest. You must sit on the chair. No, I can't sit. So at the end, they made a compromise that he would carry an image of Manjushri. So, then he could sit on the chariot as the carrier. Anyway, it's nothing, it's not a relevant story. But anyway, so it's like that. So therefore, this Ndodupa, in Ndodupa it is said, Milung Mibamepa, Seva Tatinam, Lamyo Mihi, Choncherjupa Kalani, Hiramena, Mimi Parul Shangai, Mibamepe, Choncherepa Nirmai. Even there are, millions of blind people. They don't know the way to their destination, and so they can never get to their destination if they didn't know the way. In the same way, if one doesn't have the wisdom, then even if you have other 5 paramitas, it is like a person who doesn't have eyes, so will never be able to get to the full enlightenment. But if you have wisdom, then all other paramitas also become a very important kind of support to the enlightenment. So therefore, it becomes easy to get to the enlightenment. So this is important. It is said that if you have wisdom but no methods, all these other paramitas are usually called the methods, or accumulation of positive deeds. So if they are not there and just wisdom, then also it is not enough. It is said that tabdong travi shirabdong shirar travi tabdong gonghi chinwa sumbi devi nika pangmusha. This is said by Atish Dipankara. The wisdom devoid of methods and the methods devoid of wisdom, both are bound or not free. Therefore, one should not let go of both. So it means both is very necessary. If there is only wisdom, or we try to kind of train only in wisdom and not these other parameters, then it says you might get some peace of mind yourself, but it will not get you to complete enlightenment. And if you practice lots of other parameters, but not wisdom, then you will maybe accumulate lots of positive karma, but you will not become fully enlightened. So this is how it is. So I'm not going to go through all the quotations. It is said like this, if for a bodhisattva, if it is not together, the wisdom and method, then it's like, maras, they say maras, or the obstacles. And these two then becomes like two wings of a bird, so you can fly. Now, how do we, generate this wisdom? Here it says, "Penna xin nyuze tangla me pa yo me chela yunrewa munjo xin xin de gang xin mama sa ne me pa me chela yunrewa se ju mu su pan jungo." If you put a little bit of wood and then put, fire there, then it wouldn't make a good fire. It will very quickly, go off, and it doesn't make, it doesn't burn things very well. But if you put lots of wood together and also dry wood, then it will make lots of very strong fire. And that strong fire could burn everything. And even if you want to, put it off, you cannot put it off. He says, in the same way, if you just do some small positive deeds, then it wouldn't, generate wisdom very well, and the wisdom will not become completely, what can you say, increased or strong and full. Wisdom will not arise. But if you practice a lot of, other parameters like giving and right conduct and all other 5 parameters, then it will kind of generally, it will help to create a very strong wisdom, and then it will kind of burn all the obscurations. And so therefore, it helps the wisdom, the generating wisdom needs lots of positive actions as a kind of support. Therefore, in the Bodhicaya Avatara, it is said that all these other parameters Buddha taught in order to generate wisdom. That's why. So this is the reflection on faults and virtues. there are quite a lots of quotations and things like that, but that's, I think, mainly the thing. Wisdom is, this is, I think, sometimes it is not so easy for people to understand, but it is always taught that, to have a really strong and very, deep wisdom needs lots of support of positive actions. And without that, it's very difficult. So that's why, we do lots of positive things. Like, for instance, even in order to say Mahamudra, when we practice Mahamudra, before they try to, they give us the teachings on Lingundu. And there we do lots of purification and accumulation and different kind of prostration and all kind of, practices. That's all supposed to be to make this accumulation, so that it helps us to have the right kind of circumstances or situation where the experience of Mahamudra can awaken in us. So without, maybe it's not, I don't know whether this has been the tradition, like prostration and all kind of Vajrasattva purification and mandala offering and these kind of things. Maybe there are other ways of doing the same thing. I don't know. Sometimes many Westerners have a little bit of a problem with these practices, why prostration? Why mandala offering? It's so boring, they say. Maybe there are other ways, but these are for that. And now, the definition. What is the definition of prajna paramita, or the prajna? Shiraji ngon chu rabda number jepa o, chu rabda number jepa. Shirab or prajna paramita, prajna is here translated as wisdom awareness. And the definition is the perfect and full discrimination of all phenomena. Chu rabda number jepa. Chu is the direct translation of Sanskrit word dharma. Dharma is the Tibetan word, is chu. It's a completely new word the Tibetans created. Tibetans created a complete new language to translate Dharma, from Sanskrit into Tibetan. And actually, Tibetan language is very special in that case. You can create new words so easily. And actually now, they have created a complete new language for modern things, the scientific, and they They created words for everything, you know. You know. Huh?
Except iPhone.
Yeah, iPhone, yes. Also. Everything. So I have a necessity to relearn my language. Because I don't know most of the words, new words, because it's new. But they really did very well. I've been listening to television and radio and things like that, news, and also lots of chats. Tibetans are maybe the best chatting nation of the world. Every place they make groups, chat groups on almost everything. And there are like hundreds of members, in this each group, and they are always chatting. They are always chatting and debating, and sometimes fighting among each other. And when I listen to the radio and this kind of things, in 70s, 80s, even beginning of 90s, they were using lots of in Tibet Chinese words, in India English words, or Hindi words, something like that, because most of the things we didn't have Tibetan word. But now there is completely all Tibetan words. They don't have to use a single foreign language. They all in Tibetan they can say, except the names, which they pronounce it so badly that you don't understand what they're talking about. Maybe that's why they needed to make new words, But anyway, that's beside the point. So Chu, Dharma, is, has many different meanings to it. The Sanskrit word Dharma has many different, like 10 different meanings. And one is like Dharma practice, which is like path, But another is Dharma, is all the phenomena, anything that you can think about is also called Dharma. It doesn't need to be something existing. Something non-existing can also be Dharma, Anything that you can think about, Like for instance, the horn of a rabbit is also a Dharma. There is nothing called a horn of a rabbit, but you can have that as a Dharma because it's something you can think about. So therefore, he says all the Dharmas, chu rapt number jepa, very clearly discriminating, means understanding the nature of all the phenomena. That's Shirap. And in the Ngumba Kuntuli, there's this is also coming from Abhidhamma. Abhidhamma, the Kuntu, the collection of the Abhidhammas. What is wisdom awareness? It's perfect and full discrimination of phenomena. So that is understanding the way how everything is. That's wisdom. Now the classification. What is the classification? Means what kind of different wisdoms are there. There it says the commentary of the Ornament of Mahayana Sutra lists three types. Wisdom awareness of the mundane, wisdom awareness of the lesser supramundane, and wisdom awareness of the great supramundane. And now, this supermundane, I don't understand. But they talk about Jigten Pa and Jiten Depa. Jigten Pa is like, here is translated as mundane, it's like worldly. That's kind of worldly and mundane. Mundane kind of wisdom. And then beyond mundane or beyond worldly or transcendental, maybe you can call a little bit. Sometimes people use the word transcendental, beyond our usual kind of worldly. And beyond or transcendental wisdom also, they here divide into two, and that is the greater transcendental and the lesser transcendental too. That is the number 3. And then number 4, characteristics of each classification. Now these 3 different wisdoms are described here. Jitempi hirabna sowaripaton, tensiripaton, daripaton, zoripaton, ripine yovotala tenesipi hirakon yambateo. It's a wisdom that is, the worldly kind of wisdom. Say like study of medicine and healing, the wisdom on healing, medicine, study of logics and reasoning, study of linguistics, study of arts, the wisdom awareness which arises independence. To these 4 is called the wisdom awareness of the mundane. So this is, in Buddhism, we talk about, 5 major fields of study and 5 minor fields of study. So out of these 5 major fields of study, which are these, then except the Nangdön Ripa, inner field of study, all others are what we call the mundane wisdom. So anything, beneficial thing that you study and that's also wisdom. And wisdom generally is something that you understand, which the knowledge of which is something beneficial and useful to the society, to the world, to the people. These are also wisdom, but they are categorized as worldly wisdom, mundane wisdom. Then out of these 2, what is translated here as supramundane or transcendental wisdoms, then the transcendental wisdom of like Sarvakayana, and then transcendental wisdom that is the Bodhisattvas or the Buddha. These are 2. So this, the lesser kind of, or the smaller kind of, or first stage transcendental wisdom is the the three things to which we get this understanding or experience through study, reflection, and meditation. All wisdom has to be acquired through these three means. The first is what we call listening or study. The second is reflection or researching, analyzing, and third is meditation. So the lesser or the smaller or more beginner's transcendental wisdom is like to look at the five aggregates and then understand, how this is, how is your, impermanence, suffering, sometimes impure nature of things, and selflessness nature of things. These are described as, sometimes, in many teachings or the many descriptions of the Sarvakayana and Mahayana teachings. Many of these teachings are, descriptions for Mahayana and directed at Mahayana. So like in Tibet, everybody is supposed to follow Mahayana, and also Vajrayana. And Vajrayana they regard as part of Mahayana also. So they can say anything about, Sarvakayana. They can call it Hinayana, they can call whatever, and nobody thinks anything about that. But sometimes, when I read these things, I don't feel very good about it, because it's like, it looks too much sectarian, Hinayana kind of, down there, small thing, and a little bit. It's not necessarily like that, what is called actually, if you read Mahayana Sutras also, there you don't call Hinayana. They mostly call Sarvakayana, Nyentu. Nyentu tepa, Ranjal tepa, and Sancho Sempe tepa. Sarvakayana, Pratyeka Buddha, and Bodhisattva. They don't talk about Mahayana and Hinayana. This Mahayana, Hinayana description is more by the commentators, especially Mahayana commentators. So this way of describing, I think, would be not very good for the unity of Buddhism. So far, all this were very far, geographically we were very far from each other. Language also very far from each other. Nobody in Sri Lanka knows what Tibetans are saying or writing, or nobody in Burma knows, But if they knew these things, I think they will not feel very good about it. And on top of it, these things, what are teaching, what is taught in the Sarvakayana level, is all practiced by the Mahayana also. you know, and they say it's very good. It is, you know, it is part of it. It's important to practice. You know, all these things like, you know, impermanent, you know, impure nature of samsara and sufferings of the samsara, selflessness. All these things are major practices, and it's not that you can do without those practices, you know. And then it goes a little bit deeper and maybe more elaborate at the Mahayana level, but it's not rejected, or it's not, you know, you need to base your practice on them very much. So then, you know, making it like too much like small and big and things like that makes it not so nice. But anyway, that's, I'm not trying to, you know, I don't have to say anything about these things, but this is just for my, and then the more extensive supramundane, greater supramundane, that's how this is translated, or greater kind of transcendental wisdom. That is, you know, the what is taught in the Prajnaparamita Sutras. To understand that all phenomena, you know, not only, you know, we talk about two selflessness, you know, selflessness of the self and selflessness of the Dharma, you know, which is all the phenomena. And then there are debates, you know, there are lots of debates which is not really conclusive. Some say that Arhat or Sarvakayana level only have the experience of the selflessness of the self. And some Mahayanis say they have actually the experience of both selflessness of self and selfless, but not the method part. So these are different things. We don't need to know about that. So basically, what we call the emptiness, you know, emptiness nature of the things, all the phenomena, is interdependence and emptiness nature of the things. To understand clearly is the wisdom. And now this is now the fifth. What is to be known? You know, what is it that we need to study? So, out of these three wisdoms, three kind of wisdoms, all three are important, but what we are talking about at this kind of level, which is Prajnaparamita level, then it's the last one. So here there are 6 things, 6 points. The refutation of grasping things as being existent, the refutation of grasping things as being non-existent, the fallacy of grasping non-existence, the fallacy of both graspings, the path that leads to liberation. Then 6, nirvana, the nature of liberation. So these are the 6 points which are kind of main subject of this chapter. First, the refutation of grasping things as being existence. Now in this, we start with, analyzing things. Yeah? We use analyzing. We use our, what can you say, our power of natural wisdom in us, natural intellect, and then try to see how things exist. His Holiness Dalai Lama these days are saying that actually it would be very useful to use science, physics, to understand this. Because before, in all these sutras and commentaries, they only used reasoning, they only used logic to try to analyze things. But nowadays, you can go much faster and much, easily through labs and through understanding of the science, scientific investigation, how things really are. So if you go through, the Tibetan or wisdom, the Sanskrit way, the old way, then we try to see, how things exist. How do I exist? How do things exist? Like yesterday, maybe we talked a little bit about the ourselves, like 6, elements. So this is also one way, like if you look at me, what am I? This actually, when we talk about the 6 elements, this is a little bit the Vajrayana way also. Come to this is usually you find it in the tantras, the 6 elements and things like that. You don't find too much that way of talking in the Sutrayana. But it's the same thing. That if you look, what is it? What am I? If you are looking at kind of to analyze. There's this what is called Nagasena, the Kushan Greek king, talking with the great Indian Pandit called Nagasena about the chariot. What is a chariot? What is the chariot made of? And where is the chariot? And things like that. That also is a very important logic. You look at a thing, anything, and say, is this one thing or many things? So, is it one thing or many things? And if you look closely, it can't be one thing. Anything has to be made of, many parts. many causes, many conditions, many things. Other than the chariot, what, or a car, or iPhone. Is the iPhone is one thing or many things. So it can't be one thing. It's made of many elements. So each element is the iPhone or not. Each element is not an iPhone. But then altogether, iPhone. Even, this is the way they try to analyze things. Like the most common example given traditionally is like you see there a forest, and you say, this is a forest, but you go inside the forest and you don't find a forest, because inside forest there is nothing called forest, because forest is our description to the lots of trees. This is a forest, but there is nothing called forest existing on its own in the forest. It's only trees. So, but we say, well, there's not forest, because forest is something, description or conception that we give on lots of trees together. But tree exists. Tree exists on its own. And then we go inside the tree and find out where is the tree, in the tree. Then you can't find a tree there, because branch is branch, leaf is leaf, bark is bark, inside the tree is inside the tree, all kind of wood is wood, and so where is the tree inside the tree? You can't find a tree. It's all different things. And when you go inside the tree disappears. But then we say, oh, leaf, that exists. But we go inside the leaf, there is no leaf also, because it's made of all different, fibers and, tissues and all kind of things. But there is no real leaf there. Leaf is a dependent arising. It's kind of a mostly dependently designated thing. Then, but this is made of lots of atoms. So you go into the atom and say, what is atom exists by itself? Yes, it's one. But nowadays, through science, we find that atom is not also just one. Atom has also lots of subatomic things there. And then we go there, and there is no atom also. Atom doesn't exist totally on itself. Then we go deeper in quantum, and like that, what is a quantum? Now quantum is also, so I think people are still researching on that, whether quantum is a matter, or it's an energy, or what is it, Sometimes scientists were saying, once I went to a conference with His Holiness Dalai Lama, the Mind and Life conference, and there was one expert who is an expert on quantum philosophy, and he had some device, kind of instrument, and he was trying to show us that when you put a quantum I don't know what you call it, particle, from one side, and there's two ways it goes. So if you think it will come here, it will come here. If you think it will come here, it will come here. And most of the time it will come both ways. So therefore you don't know whether it's actually a particle, whether it's a matter or an energy, because if it's a matter, it cannot become two. It can't come on both sides, but it comes sometimes both sides, and it very much depends on what you think, they say. That's the building block of all the matter. So therefore, it is very it seems that all these things which seems to be very solid and material is built by almost nothing. So if this is built of nothing, then what would you say? How this exists? That's emptiness, I think. That's why His Holiness Dalai Lama wrote this book, called Universe on Atom. If whole world can be built with nothing, basically nothing truly existing, or nothing independently existing thing, then there is no reason why there could not be a whole universe on a speck of dust. And that's why we talk about interdependence, that the time is also relative, matter is also relative, everything is relatively existing, like this joke that we talked about, 1 minute can be 100 years also, because it's relative, it's not truly there. It's not truly there. If something is not truly there, then it can appear in any way. And so therefore, when you realize that what you call me is also like that, and everything is like that. So therefore, and also this is important point, that which is one of the basis of the Buddhist logic, that if something was truly existing and something was truly existing on its own, independently, that could not actually become the building block of a big thing. Because if something is truly existing, it could not integrate, it could not it could not make a chemistry. It could not, two things put together cannot bring something different. Or two things cannot be put together. Like usually, everything is coming like with chemistry, no? Like oxygen and hydrogen put together, water happens. Yeah. I met one scientist some long time ago in Ireland. He's been doing research on water, and he came down to that point where, when you put these two, oxygen and nitrogen together, oxygen and hydrogen, and then water appears. And you take these two things apart, water disappears. So water happens like out of air. There is no water in either of these, but when they put together, it becomes water. So that is called chemistry, no? That two things together, then third thing appears. So if hydrogen or oxygen were existing on its own, it's independently there, and it's totally independent, it cannot create something new. Because when two things create something new, that thing has to change, that thing has to disappear. Like, for instance, if you put a seed of a flower, if you seed of the flower and sow it, when the seed, when the plant, whatever you call it, seedling comes up, the seed disappears. And when the tree is or the plant is there, the seed is not there. So therefore, if seed is independently existing, then seed cannot disappear, but seed disappears, and then plant comes. And the seed is not in the plant is not in the seed, because seed is so small, it can't contain the plant, but plant comes out of, and the plant can be sometimes so big, seed disappears, and it's same like, milk into yogurt also, and many things like that, everything like that. So therefore, there is nothing, if it is totally existing on its own, it cannot produce something else. So therefore, the seed or the condition or the whatever has to be something there, but not independently there, not existing on its own, not something which is what can you say, which is totally on its own existing. So if everything is like that, not really existing on its own, but everything is possible, that's called interdependence. When you talk about interdependence, that's interdependence. Causes and conditions, relatively, everything is possible. And that same thing is also called emptiness. So when you say things are emptiness in its nature, it is not saying nothing exists. That's why here it says, if you see it as non-existing, if you see as it's being existent, truly existent, then it's a problem, it's wrong. Because if things are truly existing, then you can see that truly not existing, because if you look at It's all interdependently there. And, but if you said it's non-existent, that's also wrong, because, if you said non-existent, what do you mean non-existent? It's there, you can experience, you can see, it all happens. So you can't say it's non-existent also. That's another concept. Existence, it really exists, is also a concept. We hold it, oh, this exists like this. But if you say it's non-existence, it's even more wrong, because, everything is there. But how does these things exist? All these things exist in a kind of a strange way. It's like a miracle, like a magic, like an illusion, like a dream, and that's not only things there, but also perceiver also is like that. What you perceive, and the perceiver, and everything else is like that. So, therefore, when I say I exist, I am there, little bit in what way you are there, my past, my future, in what way you're there. It's not that there is nothing, but there is, So when I say something also, it's lots of different things coming together and then saying. And, so therefore, everything is in this way. So therefore, all this kind of I am, therefore everything is there truly, therefore everything that I see as something good, I must have it, everything that's not good, I must not have it. So therefore all this is also an illusion. All kind of my attachment and aversion, good things, bad things, things I see very good, things I see as not good, things, is also just a concept, just a, so birth, death, all these things is also more or less a concept. So therefore, because we see things so solid, that's why, we have lots of problem and pain. We see things so true, and so therefore we make so much trouble. Like, in the dream, in the dream, we see lots of people there. In the dream, we see lots of things there. In the dream, we see lots of things happening. Sometimes very nice things happening, I'm finding something very nice, something very beautiful, very nice. And then, I'm about to get it, and then I wake up. It was never there. And sometimes in the dream, you have very bad dreams also, no? Very bad dreams. And then, but then you wake up suddenly. Oh, how good, it was just a dream. Yeah? So this whole thing, whole universe, whole our life has lots of similarities with the dream. And if we could see that, if we could really deeply see that, we would react in our life with less pain and problem and anger and passion, and we would not be so much disturbed in the life because we can see more like a dream. And this is also, they say, is the main point. Some people, if they are very good in their realization and meditation, can perform miracles. And how they perform miracles? Like the same way we can perform miracles in the dream. In the dream, and in the dream, if we realize that it's a dream, then if a tiger comes to eat us, how much afraid I will be? Not much. Little bit. But not so much, no? And in the dream, if I recognize it as a dream, then can I go through the wall? When you do the dream yoga, this is one of the practices, that you go through the wall. Because in the dream, you should, if you really understand it's a dream, there's no reason why you can't go through a dream wall. And people who do that kind of practice say that actually they can go through the wall. But in the beginning, they cannot go through the wall with your face. They have to try to go through the back. It's easier to go backwards through the wall because you still have the, although you can very clearly see that this is a dream and it's not, there is nothing there, but we have so much, habitual tendency that we don't go through the wall, that even that time they say you can't go through the wall if you just, you have to try to go through the back wall and then like that, So if you can do that, if you can create all these kind of things, do things in the dream that you usually can't do, like flying or going somewhere else, or sometimes changing the dream, you're having one dream, and then you say, no, this is just a dream. I'll change the dream, and I'll make as another kind of a dream. And if you're very good at it, you can do it. But not easy, because we have so much, habitual tendency to see things as it is, and to see things that what we see is real, and it's like this, and that's, truly existing. So it needs exercise to change even the dream. Yeah. But if you become very good at it, and if you have done lots of practice, that you see these things, what you see now, as also part of a dream or kind of a dream, then you can also at some point change this also. Some good practitioners leave their impression on the rock, like Milarepa. Milarepa once met a very learned geshe. He was very learned, but not very good in practice, I think, because he was jealous, you know. He saw that all these people going to Milarepa for teachings and not coming to him. And he says, what's going on, you know? All these foolish people going to Milarepa who doesn't know anything, you know. He hasn't got a geshe degree, and he doesn't study all these big books, and he was just an ordinary, you know, cotton-clad beggar. And he's, you know, getting all these, lots of the students and all these things. And I am such a learned geshe and have so many degrees and, you know so much debate, and I'll go and give him a lesson. Then he went there. He wanted to debate and, you know, finish him. So he went there and says, you know anything about emptiness? He says, a little bit. Is these things, all these things, is it empty of itself or is empty of its existence? And Milarepa said, I don't know. For me, it's like this. And he put his hand across the pillar, and there's nothing there. To me, it's like this. I don't know what it is called. He couldn't do anything, so he had to leave, you know, a little bit angry and upset. Even that time, he didn't have devotion, you know, because he was so much, you know, he's my competitor, you know. So that's how we are. Anyway, so maybe it's time for our break. Something tells me it's the break time. Yeah.
So there's like no solution to this problem. It's only bigger shit.
Maybe we can start with a short meditation. Anybody has any questions? Yes?
I have a little complicated question.
Okay.
I hope I could explain it clearly.
Huh?
I hope that I could explain it clearly, this question.
Okay.
And it's regarding about helping others.
Okay.
So, if I really want to help somebody who is suffering, then, and it is said that I cannot change his karma. So, the only possibility is that I change. So, if I change my reality, because I am not independent of reality, but we are interdependent. So, if I change myself, I can change somebody else. There is no other way. Is this true or not?
I understand it like this, you know. Maybe I can put it like this. You cannot, you know, by yourself take his karma and throw it away. But you can help him to change his karma. Yeah? Why not? You know, if nobody can help anybody, I mean, it's like this. We are actually very easily influenced people. Yeah? All of us are very easily influenced. Yeah? Somebody gave kind of a diagram of influenceability, and it's the bow. The bow is like this and like this. So at this upper end, it's touched to the, you know, what do you call it, the bamboo is touched to the thread is touched to it. Just but very little. And at the other end, it's touched, but very little. So the best kind of people, very few, you know, 0.0001 people are not influenced. They are too good. And in the same way, down there, the worst, you know, that many people, that percentage is not influenced. The rest of the people, we are always influenced. Yeah? If I'm with somebody who is always drinking, if I'm his companion, maybe after some days I start to drink. Yeah? If I'm always with somebody who is smoking, maybe after some time I start to smoke also. You know? And if I have a friend who is always meditating, maybe start to meditate a little bit. We are always very easily influencing each other. Of course, it's easier to influence badly. Less easy to influence in a positive way, but we influence each other. And actually, when I'm influencing each other, we are changing the dharma, no? We are changing our way of living, we are changing our way of doing things, we are changing our way of seeing, we are changing, so that means changing karma also. Yeah? And it is even said, one of the most important things that you become better, like any practice you do, is that you have a good friend. That's why we talk about Sangha so much. Yeah? So therefore, since we can influence each other, we can help. Yeah? I think we can help. We cannot totally. If that person doesn't want to do something, we can't make him do it. But we can influence and we can help. We can create situations, and, we can make him or her understand things. Otherwise, why do we teach? Why do we listen to the Dharma? Why do we, read books? Why do we do anything? So therefore, it is. I think when we try to help people, we cannot expect too much because we don't know how much we can help. Because especially if that person doesn't want to be helped, then it's very difficult. But if that person also wants to be helped, then sometimes you do a little bit and it helps a lot. Yeah? Sometimes you do a lot, but it doesn't, depending on the person also, on the situation also, just like that, Actually, I think I told this story before. There is a Jataka story. Did I teach this? Did I talk this Jataka story about one person who learned from the king's advisor about the dead mouse? I did, but maybe there are some people who didn't hear. You didn't hear this? I must tell this story. It's especially meant for young people. Actually, I found this story somewhere, which I didn't find in any Tibetan. I found it in a Jataka story from, I don't know, from some English book actually, or something like that. The story is like this. There was a young man in a country, and he had no job, so he was hanging around with his friends in the town, in the marketplace. And then he saw the prime minister or the advisor to the king coming with lots of other people, and they were kind of passing nearby. So they were all looking, and he was talking with some other people and passing. And the person he heard, this prime minister, the last prime minister, was saying that if you have the right attitude and right effort, even if you have a dead mouse, you can become a millionaire with that. And then he passed. So then he returned. He was returning home, walking, and he found a dead mouse. near the street. So because he heard this, he thought, let me see how it works. So he picked up this dead mouse, and then he was walking. And then somebody was coming that way, and he saw this. And he said, oh, you have a dead mouse. Yes, I have. Can you give this to me? Because I have a cat at home. And I can give this to my cat. He said, yes, you can have it. So he gave the dead mouse to the man. The dead mouse, the man took out some coins and gave it to him. Okay, you take this, I take it. And then, no, I think he took out some sweet or something like that. No, it's some coins. And then he went, and there he saw a sweet shop selling some sweet things. And he went, and with these coins, he bought some sweets. And then he was walking. And then he came next to a kind of forest or a garden. And lots of children came out of this. They were kind of playing in the forest. They had plucked lots of fruits. So he distributed these sweets to these children. And children were very happy. So they gave all the flowers that they had plucked from the forest to him. They are very nice. Take these flowers. So he had now a big bundle of flowers. So he thought what to do with these flowers. He thought, oh, maybe I should go near the temple so that I can sell these flowers so the people will go to the temple. So he went to the temple and he put these flowers down, and he's kind of, and then people, whoever went to the temple, said, oh, can I get a flower? So he gave each flower and they got some money. And so he sold all the flowers. So next day, he bought lots of sweets with this money and was waiting for the children to come with the flowers. And he gave the sweets to the children gave him lots of flowers. And so he went again and sold the flowers. So this way he was making quite a good money. And then he slowly thought, maybe I should make a sweet shop. So he made a sweet shop. And so it went very well. And then lots of people, that time there was no cars. So, the horses were there. So, the people the villagers need to bring grass to the town for the horse. So these grass cutters, they came, and sometimes it was raining, and then he said, oh, come in. So they all came in, and he gave them shelter, and he gave them sweets. So all these grass cutters became his friends and said, if you need some help, whatever, we have nothing much, but if you need anything, please tell us, because we want to help you. And then after some time, one day he heard that there was a big horse trader is coming to the town with 500 horses. And then he knew that they will need lots of grass. So he told the grass cutters that now from today, for a few days, all the grasses you cut, please can you give it to me? So they did that. And then he sold this grass to these horse traders at a good price. So he had lots of money now. He became quite rich. Then he heard that there is a ship coming from another country. And this ship was carrying lots of businessmen. And all these businessmen had lots of jewels and, precious stones from other countries, from across the ocean. And he knew that where the ship was coming, they really valued the jade. So he had a very nice jade something there. And then he went and gave it to the captain and said, I'm from this village. And if you want, I can help all these traders to be introduced to people in this town. I know lots of people. So he was very happy that they could get someone to make introduction. So he made this introduction. He took these merchants to everybody who was. So he became very, very rich. He became a kind of a trader now of jewels. And then he had now a few million, and very, very rich. And then he thought, oh, why did I become so rich? And I have so much money now because I didn't even have a job. Then he thought, well, it's because of the Prime Minister. He gave advice, and I took that advice, and that's why I become like this. So I must thank him. So he took half of his money in a big box and went to the Prime Minister. And he said, I want to say thank you to you. The Prime Minister was a little shocked. He says, yeah, nobody says thank you to me. What is Why do you say thank you to me? Then he told the story that actually I overheard this from you about the dead mouse. And I found a dead mouse and I used it, and now I've become very rich. So, I'm really grateful to you, so I must thank you. So therefore, I bring half of my earning to you, because, you really helped me. The Prime Minister was totally shocked and surprised. He said, nobody, even if I have lots of people, nobody thanks me. Not to talk about giving this much money. This person is very special. He is very bright. He acted on some little thing he heard, and then he really became very successful. On top of this, he's even grateful to me and wants to repay his kindness. So he's somebody very special. And he doesn't look that bad also. That's my addition. I don't know. That I don't know he said or not. I thought. Sorry. He said, maybe you should marry my daughter. That's not my addition. So he agreed, and then he became the son-in-law of the Prime Minister, and then progressed more and more. And when the Prime Minister retired, he became the Prime Minister. Yeah? So I like this story because it's a it's a story of a success, but nothing negative. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't only through doing positive things and intelligently, but with good intention and with helping each other. It became very successful. And most of the time, people think that if you have to be successful, you have to be very little bit ruthless, and have no, what can you say, have no moral, no ethics, and you have to be ruthless, and you have to, you have to push out all the people that's not helping you, even if you're best friends. So this is, I don't know whether you think like that or not. I see it like this, the modern way of thinking. They think that you have to be successful. You cannot, you have to get rid of, even if your friends who are not helping in your endeavor, but not very good, you have to kick them out and then have new friends and then progress. So it's not like this, it's totally. Anyway, that's this. I tell this story to say that, if somebody helps themselves, then helping is very easy. If people don't help themselves, helping is very difficult. But it is not always that we cannot help. This is, I think it is important to understand this. When you say that you cannot change somebody's karma, that doesn't mean that you cannot help. Yeah? You cannot just take somebody's, if I don't do anything, please help me, please, I want bodhisattva, or I want, my friend or my lama to change all my karma, and I just do I only sleep, then maybe it would happen, So this also to say that, I have to do my work. When people say people cannot change your karma, it is more to say that you cannot expect that somebody will come and do everything for you. But it's not also that, somebody cannot help you. And it is also not completely true that somebody cannot change your karma also. Sometimes, if that person is very strong, can do something which not completely get rid of your karma, but also, put forward or backward, like there was this story. There was this story. I don't know whether it's well. Anyway, this is a story, so it reflects the understanding. There was in Tibet. There was a kind of a chief in Kham, in Ladon, Ajahn. He was very. There are lots of stories about how cruel he was. I'm not sure whether he was exactly like that, but people said that he did very bad things. Maybe I should not say this story. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's very bad. And I can tell one thing. He made an experiment once that what was the third one? One tailor, one armchair is the one who recites texts, like monks who come to recite texts. They do So you have to do whole day. And another, I don't remember, I think there were 3 people. He gave them the same kind of food and made them do their work all day. And in the evening, they killed them all and tried to find out who was more hungry. And he found out that the tailor, all his food was still there. But the amchur has all completely digested, only there was a little bit of corn, you know. Oh yes, but before that, there was only, you know, this corn, only corn, you know. So he has already digested every food. So he told me, I think in future you have to feed the amchurs more. He was that kind of person. Anyway, so then he came to Dokchen Monastery, and then he told Sojam that, you know, I'm a sinner. I'm a sinner. I did very bad things. But you must promise me that I will not go to the hell. You know, if you don't do that, I will do something terrible. So then he kind of he had to promise me, yes, I promise you that you will not go to the hell. And then afterwards, there was a man in the monastery, a little bit, you know, not so strong with his mind, a little bit abnormal kind of a person. People said that he was the next rebirth of this person. So the Lama could delay his going to the heaven by one lifetime. And then when this person died, there was a big sound in the special kind of a sound coming from the sky. And then some Lama said that this is the time that that person going to the hell now was delayed by one. I don't know whether these are true or not, but there are stories, you know, like that. So, yeah. Any other question? If there is no question, then there is also a chance to tell your jokes or stories. You know? Because if you don't tell jokes, I will tell the whole world. Slovenian people.
I don't have a joke.
Okay.
I think I missed out on the second type of wisdom.
What?
I don't know which is the second type of wisdom. We said there were 3 types of wisdom. The first one is the world-based wisdom. The third one is the supreme one. And which is in English? I think I didn't listen properly.
Yeah, the second one was actually the same kind of wisdom, but of the Shravakayana. And this, they said, is like, impure nature, suffering nature, impermanent, selfless of the self kind of process.
She has a question. She tells me in Italian.
Okay.
Prima nominava gli ostacoli di Mara, sì, non per dar sempre la colpa agli altri, però se ci raccontava qualcosa degli ostacoli di Mara e soprattutto come
andarci fuori. Before you told about there is Mara's obstacles, and so she wants to know how to go beyond these Mara's obstacles and what they are.
You know, Mara is a Sanskrit word which actually means obstacles. There are different kinds of obstacles. There are external, the general Maras, 4 Maras, then there are specific Maras, 6 external Maras, 6 internal Maras, then 6 secret Maras, 6 top secret Maras. I have written a book on this. You can read that. It's called, what is it called?
Facing challenges.
No. It's called
How to survive.
riding on the waves or something like that.
Cloud.
Riding the stormy waves. I didn't write it. It's a book, and I just explained it a little bit shortly. You'll find it in Bodhijaya publication, England. Yes? Yeah, the joke.
I have a joke.
Yeah.
It's a little bit. No, sorry. So there's this person, and he knocks. There's a knock on the doors of psychotherapists. And the psychotherapist, oh, please come in. And a man enters and says, well, I'm completely devastated. I cannot go on like this anymore. And the psychotherapist says, well, tell me, please, what is the trouble? And he said, oh, every night I'm a grown-up person, and every night I go to sleep. Comes a little elf, a little being, imaginary being, and he grabs my pinky, and he says, well, Janis is a Slovenian name, now we will pee. And I fall asleep, and in the morning when I wake up, my bed is wet. And he said, I cannot go on like this anymore. I'm a grown-up person. Every morning I wake up in a wet bed. And please you have to help me. I'm desperate. And then the psychotherapist says, oh, that's no problem. So this night when you go to sleep, just simply when he comes, the elf will come, and you just say, when he grabs you by the pinky, you just say, no, we will not be. We will not be. We will not be. So this man goes home, relieved a little bit, he gets hope now, and so he goes to sleep, and of course the elf comes and grabs his pinky and says, well, Janis, let's be. And the man says, no, we will not be. We will not be. We will not be. And the elf looks at him surprised and says, oh, okay, then we will do.
Okay, that's very good. It's time to go. That's very good.